Thank you so much for joining us today. EdData is a partnership of the California Department of Education, FCMAT CSIS, and EdSource, dating back to 1996. The sole mission of EdData is to provide access to K-12 public school data, especially financial data, in a way that is easy to use and understand. There is no other commercial or financial interest here. EdData is truly a labor of love. It operates on a shoestring, and all of us here have more than full-time jobs at our respective organizations. My name is Smita Patel, and I'm with EdSource. Joining me today are Gurpreet Singh Mangat and Dana Henderson from CSIS, the organization responsible for building and maintaining EdData, and Masha Lutzuk from the California Department of Education's School Fiscal Services Division, which provides the financial data on EdData. My EdSource colleague, Andrew Reed, is running the webinar for us. We've got more to cover than we can fit in an hour, so our plan is to focus mostly on functionality with a quick look at the various types of data available. It's going to be more of a sprint through than a walkthrough. And with that, I will hand it over to Gurpreet. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gurpreet Singh Mangat. I'm a testing analyst at FCMAT CSIS. Welcome to EdData webinar. Today, I'll be presenting our awesome EdData website. So let's dive in. You can access EdData at ed-data.org. We are on the homepage. At the top of the homepage, you'll see we have a search bar that can be used to search for district, school, articles, glossary terms. We'll delve into search functionality later on in the demonstration. After the search, we have the main menu bar where you'll see state level, county level, district, school level, and this includes data for performance, demographics, discipline, chronic absenteeism, college and career readiness, financial data, local revenue election, and teacher salaries. Think of it as a shortcut to different categories of data at different levels. The data on EdData spans up to 15 years, going all the way back to 2009, 2010. You can also access comparisons for districts and school directly from the main menu. We'll go over these as well later on in our webinar. The help menu contains link to articles and explanation to assist you in navigating and using EdData effectively. Next to the main menu is the glossary panel. Glossary panels provide definition and context to specific terms related to data education and testing. Simply click on it and you'll see alphabetical order of all the glossaries, and you'll be able to click through it for the glossaries that you're looking for. Down below, we have a marquee section that is a rotating set of tiles. There are 3 tiles. We use this to showcase the latest and greatest information that is available on the website. It's just informational text where we use it for announcements and things of that sort. Next in the red ribbon is the navigation bar. Navigation bar, or the CDS bar, we call it. You can select any county and district and school. So these options are disabled. So you have to select a county first, and then these options are enabled. And you select a school district, and then this is enabled, and so forth. And you'll be able to navigate to any district or school through the CDS bar. Here, I want to note that only the active and open school districts and schools are included in the navigation by default. If you want to look at the data for merged and closed schools, you have to click on this checkbox. Down Down below, we have a carousel of articles. We have 8 articles that are on display. You can navigate it back and forth. Articles are just an explanation of how the data is used on web data and how you can use anything on EdData. So it's just to supplement whatever is on EdData. The final section is the footer section, where you can find more information about EdData. And then we have the recently viewed tag section. This section is very interesting and important because it includes link to your recently visited schools, districts, if you have visited any articles or you have searched for anything, and also links to school comparisons, district comparisons. So it's very helpful in cases where you have created a school comparison or a district comparison and you somehow accidentally click on some other page and now it's gone. You can come back to recently viewed tags and you can click on these links and you'll be taken back to the view where you left. So these are there for you. Next is subscribers form. This is just for to subscribe to our emails for future releases. We promise we won't spam you. And next is the contact us form. This can be used to ask questions on the data on the website, get clarifications on the use of website, and provide suggestions for improvement if you have encountered an issue or that you cannot resolve on your own. It can also be used to show some appreciation, right? Everybody needs some sort of that. With that said, let's dive into the demonstration of the search bar. Search bar, as I said, can be used to search for district, school. We can type in the name of the district, or you can type in the zip code, CDS number. It takes all that information. We can start it by typing in the name. As you can see, a drop-down box shows the matches for the term. You can either click on any of the matches or you can simply click on enter and the search results show. Within the search results, you'll see this this term has returned 100 searches. That closely matches this term. And some basic filtering down below. You can filter districts and schools. And one important part of the search is you can add terms, like if you want to search for more terms like charter, for articles. So what happens is when you enter the terms, it didn't update the results right away. So you have to click on Update Search button for the system to show the results. Now you see it'll show 902 results. And it has opened new search on the right where you'll see some articles that are showing related to our searches and some glossary terms. And you can page through these glossary terms. We have 10 of them. Down below in the search results, you'll see we have at a glance information where you'll see total enrollment, ethnic diversity index, and English learners and grade level, all that little snippet of information down here. Ethnic diversity index is special to EdData that you'll not find anywhere, I believe. We'll talk about that later on also. If you want to see this information in the next results, you simply have to click on more information. Or you can, if you don't see the your school here, you can simply type in the full name of the school and it'll just show up at the top of the results. right now. And so we have these two icons here next to the search results. These are important icons. So what you can do is this plus icon, it can be used to add this school to the comparisons. So what it'll do is it'll add in the background. It won't take you to comparisons, just in case you want to add more. Like you want to search more school districts and you decide like I want to compare this also. So you can add up to four schools, pin four schools into the comparisons. Um, this, on the other hand, it takes directly to the comparisons and it'll pin the school district as well. We'll talk about that when we go through the comparisons again. So I'm going to hand it over to Smita.
So starting again back at the home page, as Gurpreet said, you can get an overview of the levels of data available, state, county, district, school, as well as the different subsets of data. So let's start with the student demographics. And we're going to hurry through these again, as I mentioned. At the very top, you have sort of a summary section. And here you can find a list of counties at the district level. At the county level, you'll find a list of districts. At the district level, a list of schools and some other data. There's more information for the other levels. Over here, you can see the different sections of data. So we're looking at student data. We also have staff data, local revenue elections, that's bond and parcel tax data, and then the financial data, which was our most recent release and completes the 23-24 school year. Most of the data is displayed in 5-year graphs. And so we have this year slider that shows you the 5 years being displayed. If you want to go back, you can click on this arrow. As Gurpreet said, you can go as far back as 2009-10 to view data. But be aware that not all data are comparable because there have been changes made to how it's collected or reported. And so some data, for example, the graduation data does not go back that far because there were significant changes and it was no longer possible to compare the data. We have separate charts for the older data that are kind of tucked away in a different spot. So back to demographics. Most of the charts are made on sort of a similar way. So once you've got the hang of one, you can navigate through the others. At the very top, we have the sharing function. You can download data, save, copy, generate a link is the one I use the most. You can click on it. It can take a minute to load, but then it'll give you a link, and that link will show the graph as you are viewing it. So if you've expanded the view table data, it's going to share it that way. So it's handy if you want someone to be able to see specifically what you're looking at, or if you want to kind of save it for yourself. And you also have the social share options. So again, you can click view table data to expand the numbers, but you can also mouse over. And this is one of the new things we decided to do with the upgrade of the website. We started to show by default charter versus non-charter enrollment for the census day graph, just to help folks understand at a glance without having to dive into that graph. And here you can see we have a number and percent toggle, so you can change whether you're viewing the percentage or the numbers. And of course, it's important to remember that this top level graph is only one of many graphs that are actually buried in here. You can drill in for more detail by different student groups like race and ethnicity, by grade or gender, even by school and district type. So for example, here, you can also filter the data. So if you don't want so many bands in your chart, you can take out some of them. and then just click off and you'll see that it's a tidier graph, but you still have all the information over here. Now, I just want to quickly note something about these three graphs here. They're all sort of different ways the state counts students, which is why we've presented them together, but they cannot be used interchangeably because they're really collected at different times and in different ways. So census day enrollment is taken in October at the start of the school year, and it's the basis for a lot of the demographic information that you'll find in this section. Cumulative enrollment is taken at the end of the year, and it is used for discipline data, graduation rate data, and chronic absenteeism data. So be careful not to mix the two, or, because they're different students. Average daily attendance is not enrollment at all. It's actually the days of attendance by students. And so it's not really demographics, but the reason we include it here is because it's the basis for our financial data, and we feel it's important context. Average daily attendance will usually be lower, or definitely be lower than enrollment. So again, these numbers should not be used interchangeably. Each has a different purpose. And the chart notes seek to explain that. So I'd encourage you to check those out. We sometimes link to articles. We also link to the glossary terms. So for example, short-term enrollment. Sorry. We'll open up that glossary panel that Gurpreet had pointed out earlier. So some of the other data here. We have the unduplicated pupil count, which relates again, it's the starting point for how the state calculates funding. As you know, under our local control funding formula, each student receives a base grant. The school receives a base grant for each student they educate. And then there's additional funding for students that are considered high needs, which are low-income students, English learners, homeless, and foster youth. And there's supplemental and then even additional concentration funding if schools are serving a high proportion of those students. So that calculation is based on an unduplicated count, which means each student's only counted once, even if they're in multiple categories. And this data that you'll see on EdData is just the starting point for that calculation. Masha's team and others in the school fiscal services divisions do a lot of different calculations that would not be possible for us to capture here on EdData. Before coming to the actual funding numbers. So just be aware that this is not the unduplicated pupil count or percent that's necessarily used for funding apportionment, but this gives you a sense of how many of those students are being served in a school or district. Additional demographic data, and there's the ethnic diversity graph that I think Gurpreet alluded to, that just shows how diverse a school student body is. If every student was from the same ethnicity, it would be 0. And if every student was from a different ethnicity, it would be 100. And then this is also the only place where you'll find private school data on EdData. Our data is focused strictly on TK through 12 public school data, which of course includes charter schools, but we just have as a snapshot at the state level, the overall private school enrollment and the number of schools. If you go down to the next section, these are results for the Smarter Balance test, the CASP English Language Arts and Mathematics results. And again, the top level graph is just skims the surface. You can drill in for more detail. Now, because the tests are reported with 4 possible achievement levels, it's a little bit tricky to try and show all that in a 2-dimensional graph. So we have a few different ways that you can see it. For example, all achievement levels by selected gender. So you'll see it, the category here in the second category says male. You can see it for female students. Now in the math side, I'm just going to pull, you can see it's by gender for one specific achievement level. So in this case, we're seeing data for both female students and male students, but the only level we are looking at is the students that met or exceeded the state standards. You can also look at separate levels over here. We've also created some new graphs to help highlight achievement gaps. And so those are the rest of the graphs in this section. So for example, you can see how students who are economically disadvantaged compare to students who are not. And similarly, data for foster youth, for homeless students, migrant students, and also students who were ever English learners and students who had disabilities. The next section is college and career readiness. And this is based on an adjusted four-year cohort. So it is students who enter it in the 9th grade and graduate in the 12th grade. And it removes students who leave the school during that time or adds students who enter the cohort at that time. And again, you can see we've got the data here as a trend. You can drill in to see whether the students are charter school students or non-charter school students. If that is, because some districts are wanting to look at one group of students versus another. You can drill in for more detail by different student groups. We also have the data on dropouts, and then you have the data on the students who are meeting the A through G requirements that are required to gain admission to the University of California or California State University. And those are, again, those same drill-ins are available here. Then we have suspensions and expulsions data. You can see that we have the suspension rate. Again, you have the charter, non-charter drill-in. There's a separate graph showing students suspended for defiance only because that's been an area of particular focus, expulsion rate data. And then we have chronic absenteeism data, which has been a major issue, especially since COVID. And in this graph, you can see that it has come down, but it's still way higher than pre-pandemic levels. And again, you can toggle through the number and the percentage. So I'm going to pause for a quick second to see if anyone has questions or if I've missed anything. Please jump in. Okay, then I'm going to hop over to a district. And there, as Gurpreet pointed out, there are two ways you can do that. Again, you can click at the top or you can select the county, district, and school. I'm going to click here because I was looking at my old high school district in San Jose, and EdData tries to remember where you've been so that it can take you back to the same place and you don't have to navigate to it every single time. There's also a little breadcrumb here that shows me where I am. So here's the district summary, and you can see that it has contact information, it has the district website, the county website, and it has the local control and accountability plan for the district, which is a requirement of the California's local control funding formula. Again, here you can click to get a list of schools, and you can download it. There's a map. It tells you if this was a district that had closed, it would say closed here. It tells you the grade span and it tells you the CDS code for the district. I'm going to go over to staff data now. Unfortunately, we don't have any staff data since 2018-19, which means this accordion is not even going to open right now because this 5-year span doesn't have any data. We're hoping that the state will be providing data soon in that category, but we don't have an ETA on it. But we do have teacher salary data, so you can find that here. And these data are also available in the comparisons. You can see average teacher salaries. You can see how it changes. You can see benefits and contractual service and teaching days. This tab takes us to bond and parcel tax elections. And then I'm going to jump over to the financial data in the interest of time, just because there's so much to cover. And Masha, please do jump in here if I miss anything or get anything wrong. So again, you can see that this is broken up into 4 sections. So we'll start with revenues and expenditures. Now, unlike most of the rest of the site where we have the graphs as the predominant way of displaying data, financial data are primarily displayed as tables, but we do have some graphs. You can still download the data, you can share it. If you expand anything in the tables, it should download and share all of that. You can change the year up here. So it starts with a high-level view of the governmental funds. Most of the financial data on EdData will focus on the general fund, but over here it shows you other funds in which the district is reporting any revenues and expenditures. And I just want to note here, because this is a common question, we do not have any school level data. And we don't have data for charter schools on EdData because there are multiple formats in which that data is reported. And so right now we just have data for K-12 school districts, but every school district will have a report here. And so again, more funds. And we will share with you, when we share the recording to this, a recording to an earlier webinar, which was a deeper dive into financial data. And so if you want more detail, we can do that. Or you can also email us at eddata@edsource.org, which is that contact link at the bottom of every page. And we can try and help guide you if you're having trouble finding something. So I just want to take a moment here at the general fund revenues by source table to point out a couple more things. So here you can see we've got resource codes, and you see these numbers that are in blue with the downward arrow. That means there's more hidden in there. So you can click on it for more detail. And then again, you can see that this number has some blue and is and the arrow. So you can expand it to see the revenues, the unrestricted revenues, as well as the corresponding expenditures. So all that information is tucked away in here. Now up here, you'll notice it says dollar per student. Again, that is based on average daily attendance, not enrollment. And the district's average daily attendance is noted here. So it's the total revenues divided by the ADA provides that. This column tells you how this compares to the average for other districts of the same type. So this is a high school district. So average for high school districts is sort of right on mark. This is the amount. The statewide average amount for high school districts, and then this is the average for all districts at the statewide level. Okay, so then we have the year-end summary data. And then the next section dives deeper into revenues. Now, this is just one table, but there's actually a ton of data tucked away here. So you can see that most of the funding comes through the local control funding formula, LCFF. And if you expand this, you can see that it's either state aid or local property taxes. There's also, you can dive into the federal revenue. And the way EdData works, the reason there's so many zeros here is that if any district reports in any of these, they're going to show up in the tables, but this district doesn't. So it's going to show as a 0. Again, you've got the comparison dollars per student. You've got also a breakdown of unrestricted funding versus restricted funding that has to be used for specific purposes. Then we have expenditures, which has quite a bit more detail. It's basically different ways of looking at how school districts use their money. And I neglected to point this out in the revenue section, but here we also have graphs. So you can see expenditure trends. And the 3 lines here show you the pink is this district, but then you can also see the average for all districts and for high school districts. You can also see expenditures by category. And again, you can expand the object codes. If you see this little orange question mark, that's a shortcut to our account codes glossary, which takes you to the definition in the California School Accounting Manual, which explains what can be categorized under that object code. Again, you can see how funds are spent. The next section is the current expense of education. This is a calculation that the CDE does for how much a district spends on direct educational services to students. And so again, you have the total dollars, you have the average daily attendance, and then the current expense of education calculation for this district is $19,000. And it compares it to the statewide average. Then you can look at general fund expenditures by activity. This is a good way if you have that question of how much is spent on instruction versus administration. You can see that here. And you can expand all of these codes. You can expand the dollar amounts to see where the money is going. And we have some additional general fund and charter school costs. And then we have this last section, which is other uses and contributions. And so that pretty much rounds off a quick view of the financial data. There's tons more here, so let us know if you have questions. But with that, I'm going to quickly, I missed going to a school, so I'm going to quickly click over just to the school to show how you have even more information at the school level. For example, if it's a Title I school, if it's a charter school, it also will show you a link to the school accountability report card if you want to go in deeper to that. And then, as Gurpreet had showed us in the search, there are a couple of shortcuts here. So if you want to see how this school compares to another school, you can either add it to your search, or you can actually add it and go to search. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Gurpreet.
Thank you, Smita. That was wonderful. What's the purpose of all this data on net data when we cannot compare, right? So we created our powerful comparison tool and to let you guys compare different schools and districts to other districts and schools, so you can draw up your own conclusions. So let's head on to comparisons. As I said earlier, there are multiple ways to access comparisons. One is directly from the menu bar. Another one is going to any school or district and adding it to compare now. And if you have done comparisons before, you can also access it from down below. So right now I'm going to go to a school. And so now I've been to the school. And I'm going to click on this compare now button. So right now, so this is the school comparison page. You'll notice this is school when this is clicked. So if we are to move to the district, we'll click here and then the page will take you to the district comparison page. At the top is the comparison year bar, it shows that the data down below is for 2023-24. You can select other years to view that data, and if you viewed this data, some other time, and you were on 2021-22, and you come back again, it might default you to the year that you left off with. Going down below, we have 9,947 results, which is kind of hard to compare to. So we need to filter some of these results to suit our needs. Over here, as always, we have export. You can export all the data in comparisons, but we have put a limit on the school comparisons at 3,000 schools. Because of the performance reasons. We don't want it to slow down for other users. So hopefully with all the added filters, your results should narrow down to, not 9,000, maybe below to 3,000. As always, you can also share a link to the comparisons. So this share link will include all the information that you have created by adding multiple data elements. If you have added filters and all those things, that'll be part of the share link, and you'll come back to it again with the same set of filters applied. On the top, we have add data element here. If you click on it, you'll see the most popular data elements here. And either you can click on any data elements, or you can search for data elements in the search bar, and that way you'll be narrowing it down to one or two data elements, so it's easier to find. If for some reason you're not able to find the data element here, then you can scroll all the way down to all data elements. We have around 150 data elements within this search, within this comparisons. So these data elements are available in here, and you can search again and add those. Another way of accessing the data elements is through different sections. We have divided this up into multiple sections. You can go to a section, and then the relevant data element will display within that section. On the top, we have schools listed here, and these schools, they are linked. So if you click on the link, it'll take you to the school page where you'll see all the information. So we came back from Indicum High, and now this is pinned here. So no matter what you do on the comparison, it will always be pinned. If you want to add another school and want to pin another one, you can simply type in here, and that school will also be pinned. So now we have two schools that are pinned. You can compare them side by side, or you can compare them to other school districts or schools. So we still have 9,000 results. How do we filter those out? So we have filters available on the side. So if you click on the filter button, like for the county, if you're looking for a specific county, like Sacramento, I'm looking for Sacramento, or I want to add more counties, I can simply type in here and select those counties and save it. So now the results have trimmed down to just the Sacramento and Yolo County. And you can simply remove these two as well. And then go back to square one. Same concept for the district. You just type in the district name. You can add as many as you want to compare. And then we have the school type selection. If you want to, just compare, let's say, high schools, you can just click on high schools and then save it. And we'll only have high schools. We have a lot of questions related to how you can access charter information. So there's a data element for that where it says charter yes, no. You can select, I just want the charter schools. Just click on yes and save it. And you'll notice these two schools that are pinned, they're not charter. but they are not going anywhere because they are pinned, and they are going to stay that way. So all the other results will correspond to these filters. Just these schools are going to stay here as is, and they won't go away. Let's reset these filters again. And another question, how we find similar schools, right? So you can still use, let's say we're going to use the enrollment, right? So we want to see schools that have similar enrollment. So right now I see Indicum has 2,200 something students. So simply just add the lower limit 2,000, and I'm just going to adjust it 2,000 to 3,000, and now we have the schools that are within the similar enrollment ballpark. So you'll notice that Real Indaha is still out of this range, but since, as I've told before, it's still pinned, so I can unpin it and then it'll go away. And then, you can compare these. You can add more filters from here, English learners. If you want to just sort it from high to low, just to look at, how they compare with other districts, you can do that. You can add, if you are looking for certain ethnicity of students or races of students, you can simply filter them out. If you're looking for just one or two or three, races, you can simply remove these and filter them out. Or you can also, if you are looking for the numbers, you can, filter them out using these numbers also. And then you can save it, and that way the results are even further slimmed. So you'll see only three races in here. Another feature of the comparison is you can add state, county, or district data. And you simply just have to click on it. Like, you just want to add district data. Yes, there it is. And when you added that, it reset the filters. You have to do that again. So, so that's the addition of more data. You can add county and state data as well to this. And then we have performance section with all CAST data, and student college career readiness, where you'll see the graduation information, dropouts, all these data elements related to college and career readiness. Some of the data elements, like the SAT results, so they have been discontinued, but it's there for older years. If you want to, add those or compare them with, previous years' information, they're still out there. Staff data doesn't have any data, so if you add these elements in the last 5 years, it won't show anything because of the lack of staffing data. So these are all the elements. You can add as many as you want, and you can also remove the elements. It's really simple and really powerful tool. And then we can switch to the district comparison. So district comparison is a little bit different than school comparison because it has more data elements. We have financial data elements within the district comparisons, where you can add, per student information, and then can compare it to different district as to how much spending is being done per student by different districts. So, just you can draw your own conclusion based on the data in the comparisons. For staffing data, we do include information related to salaries, salary change, or benefit changes, or how much is the teachers paid in average salary. This information is useful, for unions, I believe, that want to, vouch for their staff, you know, in negotiation and stuff like that. So it's right there. You can see. And I think, yeah, and you can still, you know, export this information. You can, again, like we did with the school, you can filter the, you know, other school districts based on your need, and you'll have what you need.
Well, we had one question about socioeconomically disadvantaged status and whether you could use that as a way of, you know, finding similar schools. Now, we don't have SED as a specific data element, but we do have free and reduced price meals. So maybe you could show how to add that.
So free and reduced meals is here.
And you'll probably want to use the
Uh,
percentage since that's easier
uh,
for comparison.
so you can do this, and then you can filter it out, you know, whatever percentage you want to filter it out. And yeah,
And you can
then you'll
uncheck the missing data box if you don't want any
nulls and zeros or whatever.
not
Yeah,
applicables. Also we did add more recently the unduplicated pupil count. So that is again the best measure we have of students that are sort of defined as high needs students. I think I saw that as you were scrolling through the list.
there it is.
Yeah. So again, that's another way if you're looking to try and compare schools that are serving or districts that are serving similar student populations, you can use that. One of the awesome things about these comparisons are you can really use those filters. You know, you can say how many, find me the schools that are we're not AI, so you can't just speak it to data. You'll have to pull out the data elements, but you can look for the highest numbers of unduplicated students and also the highest CASP scores and see which schools or districts are doing particularly well at serving those students. So there's a lot. We encourage you to play with it, and we encourage you to reach out with questions. But there's a lot of flexibility built into the site. See one more question. What is the best way to compare enrollment with other districts? I've seen our district use ADA. Yeah, I wouldn't use average daily attendance. Masha, I don't know if you have a thought on that, but that shouldn't be used to compare enrollment, right?
As long as you stay consistent with the units, so you can use census enrollment and use it for both of the districts you're comparing. If you choose to use cumulative enrollment, they use the same measure. So just stay consistent with the measure.
Yeah. And average daily attendance, that's not number of students at all. That's the number of days attended, right? Divided by the number of students.
Days attended versus days offered multiplied by the number of students. So if you have 100 students and they had perfect attendance during the school year, the ADA would be 100. But attendance is never perfect. So attendance for 100 students for a school year would be somewhere, 90 something. And attendance is measured with 2 decimals versus enrollment. Cumulative and census day enrollment are whole numbers, of course, because students can only count as whole numbers.
Yeah, and that was a recent enhancement on the site was we added the 2 decimals because Dana pointed out that that's how districts report and look at the data. So with that, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Masha and Gurpreet and Andrew and everybody who's working behind the scenes on EdData. We really appreciate you. Thank you.